Hey, everybody, and welcome to Your Next. I'm your host, Jerome, and it's hard to believe we're halfway through 2025. It's in the books, baby. And I was doing reflection, as we do, because I wanted to make sure that I knew what we got done in the first part of the year. And for before I started the document or started the reflection, started the review, I felt like the first half was a failure, right? But the numbers are in. And for most people, I think we've done okay. I'll let you be the judge of it. 109 days off, 156 workout rings closed, 23 speaking opportunities, 6 charitable donations, and 1 new board invitation. Shout out to the College of Business at North Carolina A&T State University. Yeah, the Willie Deese College of Business at North Carolina A&T State University for inviting me to come in and help bring that next generation of business leaders to the marketplace. So, if you're hearing those numbers, it might sound like a win tally, but I want you to know this isn't just a recap. This is a reflection on what's possible when you stop living for the next transaction and start designing a life that's aligned. The numbers matter, but they only tell part of the story because what this year has shown me more than anything is what happens after the exit. You know, when the titles fade, the business runs without you, and you're only left with the question, now what? That question is where most founders pause. Some drift, some panic, and a few, very few, choose to do the work that brings them home to themselves. That's what this episode is about. Not just highlighting, but the hidden meanings behind them. Not just what I've done, but who I've become. Because this is what it looks like when you stop chasing purpose and start living in it. Let's get into it. People think the hardest part of the business journey is the climb, the grind, the hustle, the long hours. But what no one tells you is this: the real reckoning only happens after the summit. When the exit is done, the money's in the bank, and suddenly the calendar is quiet. That's when the questions creep in, not with urgency, but with stillness. Now what? It doesn't shout, it whispers. And that whisper can be more unsettling than the noise of building a business ever was. Because everything you built, the system, the team, the reputation, it all worked. You won the game. But now the scoreboard is blank and you're standing there holding a version of yourself that made sense in the old world. But now that you've stepped through the portal, not sure that it necessarily works in this next one. That's the founder's exit paradox. The paradox is this: you believe that exiting will bring you relief, joy, and clarity. But instead, it brought space. And that space made you face parts of yourself you've been too busy to confront. That's not failure, that's awareness. And it's the beginning of your real next. Because purpose doesn't show up in the wire transfer or the press release. It shows up in how you answer the question, now what? And in the next segment, I'm going to share with you how the question led me to moments I never expected. Moments that didn't just fill my calendar, but fulfilled me in life. When you finally have the space to ask, now what? You expect the answer to come through strategy, a new investment, a new role, a new mission. But the truth is, some of the clearest answers came from the most unexpected places for me. From moments that had nothing to do with achievement, but everything to do with alignment. Let me tell you about a few. Driving my father in 2 parades this year. The first one in Elizabethtown, where he was the Grand Marshal. The second one in Clarkton, where he commissioned the parade as the mayor of the town. What a grand display of pride on Memorial Day, honoring those who served and gave it all so that we can maintain our freedom here in this wonderful country. This wasn't a business win for me. This was legacy in motion. To see him honored after all he's poured into me, it reminded me of what real impact looks like. Not just what you build, but who you lift along the way, the barriers you break, and the opportunities that you create. Now, over spring break, we hopped on down to Puerto Rico. We got to swim with turtles, do some cliff jumping, and spend some time roaming through the forest chasing waterfalls. I wasn't planning content, I wasn't checking email. I was there with my family, fully present. And in that stillness, I felt more alive than I had in the years of full calendars and full inboxes. My man, Duran Chandler, and I headed down to Atlanta for the Porsche driving experience. There was no agenda, just joy. The simulators, the tracks, the GT3 RS, the Porsche 911 Turbo. Yeah, I could go on. The fact of the matter is, we got to do some of the most amazing things, something that we've been looking forward to for a couple of years. It was full of laughter, plenty of adrenaline, and it reminded me that playing isn't a luxury, it's a part of being whole. The Dreamville Festival with Relisha. What an unlikely spurge on a random Saturday. We weren't even really thinking it through. We decided that we were going to grab some VIP tickets, get the nice seats. Only thing that would have been at a higher level was being able to go backstage. But we got the MVP VIP passes. The music was amazing. The vibe, check. The connections, amazing. But here's the thing, we weren't solving anything, we were just being. Lil Wayne coming out, doing his greatest hits, Cole closing it out right before the rain. Once in a lifetime experience. And it's the last opportunity to do it because the festival will be changing names going forward. And that's just it. We were present. It deepened our bond in a way no date night or vacation itinerary ever could. We were in the moment together. No documentation, just experiencing life. We brought the year in with the ancient Balam ritual in Mexico. For me, there's something amazing about walking through sacred spaces. I believe it realigns your soul. It reminded me of how small we are and yet how deeply everything is connected. Legacy doesn't begin with wealth, it begins with reverence. And in that ritual, I begin to reconnect with that and understand that at a deeper level than I ever had. Being invited to the Element Fossil Park and Museum grand opening hit me hard. Because here's Rick and Jean building something that will outlive them and educate generations and redefine a legacy for two of the most gentle souls on the face of the planet. I spent time reflecting while I was there, digging for my own fossils. And the question that kept coming up was, what am I building that will still matter 100 years from now? And look, I could go on and on about some other really cool experiences, like my birthday trip to Panama, seeing Othello on Broadway, hanging out at the zoo with the family, in addition to my parents. My first NASCAR race with the team from DriveValue.com, checking out the F1 movie, going to the family reunion, or even my Father's Day experience at the beach. All of it mattered, not because it was impressive, not because somebody else would, not because it was impressive, but because it was real. It wasn't about scheduling fulfillment, it was about allowing it. And that's the gift of living your next. You start to realize that the best moments aren't found in performance, they're found in presence. You know what's wild? Not one of those moments I just shared shows up on my resume. None of them are going to be on my LinkedIn profile. Not one. And yet, they're the ones that changed my life the most. That shaped how I see myself, how I love, how I lead. And that's the shift that happens when you stop building a life around your roles and start building one around your values. Before I measured life by performance, revenue, reach, recognition. Now I measure it by resonance. Does this moment align with who I'm becoming? Does it reflect the values I say matter? Does it leave an imprint beyond the accomplishment? That's the life the next framework helps you build. Not just a tactical roadmap, but a values based lens for everything that comes after the exit. It's not about checking boxes, it's about building a life you don't want to escape from. And I'll be honest, this hasn't been about finding purpose, it's about remembering it, letting go of the mask I wore to get here, and choosing moment by moment to live in alignment. That's why I say it often. I'm no longer chasing purpose. I'm in purpose and on purpose. So here's my invitation to you. If you've already had your exit or you see it coming down the road, don't wait for clarity to magically appear. Don't assume peace will be delivered with the wire transfer. Start now. Ask the questions that matter. What do I value outside of what I've built? What kind of life am I actually designing? Am I proud of who I'm becoming? Not just what I've achieved. If you don't like the answers, or if you don't have them yet, that's not failure. That's your signal. The truth is, most founders wait too long. They drift. They distract themselves with new deals, new roles, new fires to put out, instead of facing discomfort of reinvention with intention. But your next chapter doesn't have to be reactive. It can be designed. And that's exactly what the next intensive is for. It's not a coaching session. It's not a pep talk. It's a recalibration, a structured, deeply personal strategy session where we align who you are and what comes next so that your future feels like yours, not just the logical next move. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling the pull, that quiet whisper that says, there's more for me than this, don't ignore it. Pause. Choose with intention. Build a life aligned with your values, not just your resume. You didn't come this far just to coast. You came this far to elevate to new levels of impact, meaning, and legacy. Before we close, let me say something extremely personal. None of this, the alignment, the presence, the peace, happens in isolation. Even with the frameworks, tools, and strategies, we still need people to hold space for us, who call us forward, who remind us we don't have to carry it all alone. For me, that person's been Matt Halloran. Matt, I wouldn't be sane with you. I wouldn't be sane, Matt, I wouldn't be sane without you. Thank you for being a steady voice in the background, for the hard truths, for the calm check-ins, and the constant reminder that I'm not crazy for wanting more than just another win. The journey after the exit is not always glamorous, but it is sacred. And I'm grateful to have people like you walking with me in it. To everyone else listening, your dreams should be real, and so should your fulfillment. You don't have to chase it anymore. You can live it. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.